Hi fans of Personality Type, this is Paul Sacco, and today's video is on creating insightful ideas with Introverted Intuition. An insight is also known as a vision, an epiphany, a eureka moment, an aha moment, a revelation, a moment of discovery, or a realization. Speaking of introverted intuition, Carl Jung stated had this type not existed, there would have been no prophets in Israel. When used with an extroverted judging cognitive function, introverted intuition allows us to see highly probable possibilities. It can seem very much like a sixth sense. However, this cognitive function can find new meaning in complex situations concerning the past, present, or future. A complex problem is one that can only be solved by divergently exploring for and then connecting remotely related pieces of information. Although we experience our insight when we are awake, it is formed during sleep and stored in our unconscious mind. The trick then becomes to liberate our vision or insight by moving it from our unconscious mind into consciousness. No matter when we experience our moment of insight, it's always accompanied by a feeling of elation. Introverted intuition is the dominant function of the INFJ and the INTJ personality types. And it is the auxiliary function of the ENTJ and the ENFJ. To see how introverted intuition works, let's look at the most famous INTJ in history, besides Mark Zuckerberg, that is, Sir Isaac Newton. Newton's goal was to understand why the planets orbit the sun and the moons orbit the planets. Newton gathered information and reflected on the problem for years before he had his sudden epiphany after seeing an apple fall from a tree. He realized that since things fall perpendicular to the ground, there must be a force that attracts objects, and this force could explain the orbit of celestial bodies. He called this force gravity. So whereas extroverted intuition can quickly generate many tangible ideas, it takes a relatively long time for introverted intuition to create a single vision. However, extroverted intuition can't solve problems that are as complex as those that can be handled using introverted intuition. Thus, our first problem with introverted intuition is that it can't be relied upon to solve urgent problems. Another problem with introverted intuition is that its visions or insights are abstract and therefore difficult to communicate. These abstract ideas have to be made tangible so that others can relate to them. When asked about which scientist he'd like to meet, Neil deGrasse Tyson said Isaac Newton. No question about it, the smartest person ever to walk the face of the earth. The man was connected to the universe in spooky ways. He discovered the laws of motion, the laws of gravity, the laws of optics. Then he turned to 26. Given his intellect, it might be difficult to understand how Newton, later in life, became caught up in the occult studies of the Philosopher's Stone and predicting the date of the apocalypse. Introverted intuition becomes one-sided when it's not balanced by an extroverted judging function. We become so caught up in the quest for the vision itself that we ignore the fact that we may be chasing a goal for which there is no rational solution. Under stress, types with dominant introverted intuition might use their inferior extroverted sensing in unhealthy ways, for example by overeating or overdrinking. For the INTJ and the INFJ, excessive stress can occur when their roles provide insufficient opportunity for them to use their preferred functions. Now for the ugly use of introverted intuition. When presented with an insight from someone, the ESTJ and ESFJ become suspicious. They will then reflexively use their own introverted intuition to stymie the person's insight by presenting them with damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios. When presented with an insight, the ISTJ and ISFJ will likely judge the creator as ill-intentioned. I can help any personality type learn to use introverted intuition to solve complex problems or create strategic visions. Make an appointment with me by clicking in the link in the description below to discuss the capability development needs of your organization. I'm Paul Sacco from Profeta Lucro. Thank you for watching.